Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey there, how you doing? It's the 3rd of December. The 3rd of December? Excuse me. It's the 3rd.
Is that what it is?
Susan! Well, it looks like it out there. I think the sun's trying to break through. Yeah, sorry. Jess hates the sun. Isn't that, weird?
Not if you're a vampire.
No, I guess not. She likes gloomy days. She doesn't. When the sun comes out, it's just the opposite of everybody else, almost, kind of. Yeah, I think the sun's coming out. Hi, Suze. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Yeah, I'm just fine, too. Did you hear what they're spreading on Wisconsin roads?
Cranberries?
Close.
Beets.
Less close.
Oh.
Beets, did you say?
Yeah, well, they do. They use beet juice because they mix beet juice in with the ice because it makes it work at lower temperatures. Don't ask me why.
And you know that?
Yes.
I never heard that one. Okay, so, no, they're, remember, it's Wisconsin, so they're,
it has to be cheese curds.
It's cheese. It is the cheese brine. Stop and think about it. That'll
same thing. Sure, it's extruded salt.
Exactly. So they are testing the using cheese brine to de-ice the state highways. This is a state effort, and apparently the stuff does stink. And one of the guys is quoted, a highway worker with a good Wisconsin name of Emil Norby. Emil Norby says, I really don't mind the smell. Our roads smell like Wisconsin. So there, just so you know that if you do go to Wisconsin, it does make sense. It does, and it's ecologically correct in that it's taking a waste product and reusing it.
Right, and it's the same thing with cranberries and beets.
Okay. Well, I know there's a lot of cranberry bogs in Wisconsin too, so maybe
they
could.
Right. So, which is why I went there first.
Okay, so they could do. Geez, there could be like a veritable meal on the highways there. They could cranberries, and you could smash up a few turkeys in there too, and
roadkill.
Roadkill. Think outside the box. Ay. So, Susan, I was lying in bed last night, and I was thinking, last time we did a show, it was very depressing. I remember it was depressing. And I thought, today we are not, whether we have to, really stretch it, we are going to not have a depressing show, okay?
Sure.
Uh-oh. Well, then I wonder what we're going to talk about.
I have no idea. I thought the New York Times was chock full of interesting things today, but none of them were particularly cheerful.
No. What? But we could talk about it in a cheerful manner.
Well, we could.
What caught your eye?
Well, I of course, zeroed in on the education story.
Oh, see, I skipped over it. You mean the one that says American students are stupid?
Well, that always attracts my attention because I like to know who they're testing and how they're picking them and who they're competing against.
Okay.
You know, because a cross-section of our students in a diverse economic, group is going to perform differently than a more homogeneous group, or at least that's what apologists will say. But no, in fact, what caught my eye was the story, just one little line in the story, which was at the end of it, and it was some education, some grand poobah in the, let me see if I can find it, some in education, and it'll be at the end of the article. But anyway, what he was saying struck me as being so dismissive of what makes pundits, really awful. Here it is. Richard Rothstein, a research associate at the Liberal Economic Policy Institute and a fellow at the University of California, Berkeley School of Law, said he put little stock in the PISA results. He says educators and academics should stop hyperventilating about international test rankings, particularly given that students are already graduating from college at higher rates that can be absorbed by the labor market. So the part that bothered me
is we should keep everybody stupid because we can't.
Why educate them? We can't employ them anyway.
Oh, God. Okay, see, but this is
not positive. But I also thought that was interesting because what it said to me is, how different are liberals from conservatives? If they both get to the same place, which is, who cares, and walks away.
That why bother educating them? There aren't any jobs.
Right.
Let's just build more prisons and stick them in there.
Right.
Oh, God almighty. That is not helpful.
Okay, did you see the one about zero tolerance going away?
Oh, that's hopeful. No, I didn't see that. How is it going away?
Guess
in the
what?
schools?
People are realizing that that's not such a smart idea.
It took them this long. Mm-hmm. You mean they just finally there was one too many stories of a kid in a Halloween costume with
finally somebody looked around and realized that they were throwing all of their children into jail for no reason, and that perhaps it makes more sense to take the children that for whatever reason are not acting appropriately and make them stay in school.
Yeah, that would be better. Isn't it amazing? Okay, we got this is totally apropos.
Well, that was good news. It's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that is. Aaron writes, "Hey, Lynn, on my way into the city this morning, I noticed on West Liberty Avenue a billboard touting the Tribune Review as the right something or other, or news from the right. Can't quite recall the exact wording. Since I don't know that those billboards say that. I think
maybe it's news that's right.
It's a clever. I think. Well, I'll go looking for it. I think what they do. I've seen those billboards, and I think actually they pass muster. It's a play on words. What they acknowledge is their editorial content. I mean, their opinion is right, but that their news is,
correct.
Is correct and maybe right. I don't, right in that regard. You didn't quite get the billboard right. So I can't, because I don't think that is correct. I don't think they say news from the right, because that would not be a good selling point.
In the sense that it ticked that place in her brain, which if she were happy about that, it wouldn't have bothered her at all. And if she's unhappy about it, they didn't have her in the first place.
Well, that's true. I mean, this is a extremely right-wing editorial newspaper, but its news, its journalists are good, and they're the news is fine. I was arguing the other day that I'm starting to think they actually have a more interesting paper if you avoid the opinion than the paper.
If you're lucky enough to still live in a real two newspaper town, you should get them both anyway.
Isn't that something? It really is something. We might be one of the only cities left outside of New York that has 2 newspapers. And I am worried because this right-wing newspaper has an owner with extraordinarily deep pockets and a very political activist nature. So I think if any of these 2 papers folds, it's going to be the other more liberal one. And also, interestingly, both have owners that are local, essentially. The Block family.
Well, that's why they're still there.
Yeah. The Block family owns
the Post-Dispatch disappeared the second that the Pulitzers sold it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, we are lucky in that regard. And I, for all of my friends who think that if you pick up a Tribune Review, you will be, tainted in some way, I keep trying to tell you, I'm sorry, but if you won't give the money to the ownership by purchasing one, you can, check it out online. It's not a bad paper at all. Mm-hmm. Let me swallow. Let's talk about sponges.
Okay.
This I found
the green and pink kind or the real kind?
No, the green and pink kind or the real kind. I mean, it doesn't matter. The kind you would put in your kitchen. And I know this will...
The kind that are filled with the legendary bacteria.
Oh, my God. This I got from the Wall Street Journal today. After 2 weeks, your kitchen sponge can harbor 10 million bacteria per square inch. And can be, here's the one that freaks you out, can be as much as 200,000 times dirtier than your toilet seat.
Ew.
And yet you take something that is 200,000 times more than a toilet seat and you wipe your counters with it. So anyway, I just want to tell you, it's just, I don't know what to tell you. That's just the facts. They do say every time if you have a dishwasher, throw it in.
That's what you do. You do it with, I was just going to say, you put it in your dishwasher.
If you don't have
every time you do them.
Okay, Jess doesn't have a dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher,
throw it in your washing machine when you do your laundry.
That'll be torn apart.
Now, here's what you do. Put it in your microwave. It says microwave, but it has to be very, very wet. Really soak it. Stick it in the microwave for 60 seconds. If it's not wet, it's going to catch fire.
Oh, my God.
Well, listen, this isn't difficult to figure out. You're putting in enough water not to totally evaporate and to boil the little critters to death.
I guess.
Yeah, sure. You're just boiling them.
So they say it is, yeah.
That's probably pretty efficient.
But I mean, we do, I don't know. So just beware of that.
I mean, but after a while, don't you turn them over or wash them or do something with them pretty frequently because they immediately start to look and or smell terrible? Well,
they look terrible. I mean, all it takes is using them for one thing where they get discolored and then it looks disgusting. And I don't know. When I think of we're inordinately fearful of bacteria, it seems, in this, and those antibacterial soaps, I don't use them. They're not good for you.
And I never have.
No, not good for you. It's why, you build up immunity to wallowing around in
right, you cannot
bacteria.
Make your body a temple in which there is no bacteria. It ain't good for you. It ain't good for you. It ain't good for you. You need them.
Yeah.
You need exposure to them. You need them. You need them in your body. You need them.
Yes, you do need them. So Mick Jagger's going to become a great-grandfather.
Cool.
What do you mean cool?
Well, he's an old fart. Get over it.
Well, he's not that old. I mean, I'm not even a grandmother
well, he
yet.
was a young father, and everybody is,
procreating
defied
early.
the odds and had children young.
Well, it's his granddaughter, Assisi, who's 21, and she is pregnant. But yeah, Mick Jagger as a great-grandfather. I don't know. It's hard to take in. It is hard to take in. Great letter to the New York Times by David Mish or something. I've actually knocked off part of his name. Santa Monica, California. This is in regard to the Affordable Care Act, which is a subject that is upsetting. So, let me get this straight, he says. The Republicans' objection to Obamacare is that it's a horrible socialist policy that will literally destroy America, and that it's taking too long to get going. Isn't that it? Isn't that it? I think that guy nailed it.
Well, that's right.
This will destroy America. Why isn't it working? Incredible. So, I had thought of doing a quiz with you and looking through the paper and on the international section and saying, okay, so what is the problem in Thailand? Okay, so what is the problem in Ukraine? And to see if you've been paying any attention whatsoever.
Well, I know the one in Ukraine. The one in Ukraine is they're upset. They want to overthrow their premier or whoever he is because he's not making nice with Europe.
Well, he had a choice. He was either going to join the some kind.
He did the wrong thing.
He went back to the warm arms of Vladimir.
He went
Putin.
the Soviet Socialist Republic way.
Well, what happened is Putin scared the hell out of him. Happened.
Right.
So yes, that's what's going on there. Thailand, it's a little harder to tell, but they got some heavy stuff going on. And I mean, when you realize how little we follow anything. We don't even follow what's going on in our own country, but if you ever listen to the BBC news, you realize that in Europe,
there's all sorts of stuff going on.
The news constitutes, I mean, they really take an interest in various like African countries. Like they'll go on and on and on about something going on in Kenya and something going on in this and that. And we have no interest at all. None. I mean, that's interesting too, to me. But I guess it's by virtue of the fact that, again, we are alone over here in North America, and we don't interact with other nations as much as a European does because there's so many of them just sitting on top of each other.
When you share borders with that many different countries, you have to pay attention.
Yeah, indeed. So, excuse me.
Okay, so I was batting.
Yeah, you did pretty well. I can't even remember what the other ones are now. But, I mean, there were some that were just... but things are not looking good. I mean, Iraq is heading into just
because
out
the
and out
guys
civil
in the
war.
north, the Kurds, are selling oil just independently to Turkey. How am I going? Two for three?
That's one aspect, but I'm thinking more of the Sunni Shia sort of sectarian civil war that's just about to just break out. The Kurds get trampled in it, I think. I don't know. It's just blah, bad stuff all over. But we were going to try to stay.
So this happiness thing is working.
Well, what are we going to? Okay, I will challenge the audience. Email me or call with something in the news that's happy. Can anybody think of anything? The silence. The silence. It is.
The silence is deafening.
It is. No, it's just not. I guess we've said this before. News, by its nature, is usually things that are not going right.
Towards the awful.
Yeah, things that aren't working, things that aren't going right, disputes. That's generally speaking what constitutes our idea of news. It's not, it's not that everybody's getting along in somewhere. Isn't that interesting, though, that we pay no attention to that, and then we get this skewed idea of how awful things are,
right?
Because we never note the positive.
Did you happen to read David Brooks this morning?
No, because he annoys me.
I know. Well, first of all, you haven't read a column from him in 3 months. Clearly, he was off doing something else.
I think he maybe
if ever this was a man that didn't want to come back to work.
Oh, he didn't want to. So what?
Well, the column was basically, how much time are we supposed to spend, wringing our hands over politics?
Oh,
it's just
so he's burned out. He's burned out.
He's totally burned out.
Well,
he said the government should be the background. It should be we all want parks. We all want transportation to parks. We all want good roads. We shouldn't be debating the very nature of government. It should be in the background and run smoothly and boringly.
Well, he needs to direct his concerns to the party with which he is affiliated.
That's right.
Does he acknowledge that?
No, he just sort of quietly doesn't want to be there.
It is tough to come back. So he's coming back after like a 3-month hiatus, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah, so I don't know what he thinks he was writing about, but that's what I was reading.
Well, the one time I took a real hiatus, I literally, after a bad show, a show in which somebody had said something so awful on the air to me, I thought, where I just lost it. It was just too much. I stormed out of the studio directly into the program director's office and said, I'm done. I am done. And the look of terror on his face, because he could tell I wasn't kidding. And I said, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I just lost it. So we negotiated that I could do it I could stay away for a month. Well, let me tell you, a month is nothing if you're burned out. You're just starting to learn how to, navigate again. And
to think like a regular human being.
Yeah, I think if you really were to take a sabbatical, something that was meant to refresh yourself, it's minimally 6 months. And, of course, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do it. And I was working at the time for such a generous outfit that I said, don't pay me. I'm just going to I want out. And so out I was. But it didn't work. It wasn't enough. And so 3 months wasn't enough for David Brooks, apparently.
No.
Oh, well. It's hard because he in my work, in his work, you immerse yourself endlessly in all of this turmoil.
Right.
And it's not...
And clearly that's what it was about. How much are we supposed to actually occupy? It should not be. It's taking up way too much space in our brains and our lives. And it's not something that you should ignore. We need it. We need to be politically aware. But it shouldn't be, occupying clearly the 90% of our, time that it is, to the point that, as he bemoans, it's squeezing out, fun and love and romance and culture. And
yeah, but I don't think most people are like that. He's talking about the people he knows. Most people don't pay any attention. They're overwhelmed.
No, but he's also talking about what he sees represented on the airways. He said, there used to be talk shows that weren't about politics.
Tell me about it.
There simply aren't anymore.
Tell me about it. That is correct.
He said there was this great show where Woody Allen and, who was it? It was Woody Allen and some strange combination.
That's a long
he said,
way
and
away.
who would put that together and blah, 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 blah. But,
I
know. It was, and Billy Graham.
What?
Woody Allen and Billy Graham just chatting for an hour on some television show.
Well, but that is the kind, I mean, like we often bemoan, we had, for one brief shining moment, great talk radio in Pittsburgh that was often not political. I did those shows too. And then all of a sudden, the pressure to be constantly political.
To declare yourselves, take sides.
Well, it's what happened when those big conglomerates took over all the talk stations and made it into just conservative talk.
Right.
We got a caller. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, you don't sound happy.
I got a question for both of you.
All right.
What do you think of the slaughtering of the wolves in Wisconsin? Because the farmers and the ranchers don't want to deal with it anymore.
They're
killing these wolves by trapping them.
Oh, no.
You mean the Indians didn't manage to prevail? Oh.
The Indians were trying to stop it?
Yeah, they're revered in their culture.
Hey, if that's happening, it's again the doings of these friggin' awful people who've taken over that state. It's Scott Walker. It's conservatives. That's what it is. Kill, kill, kill. I have no idea, and I did not know about this. Oh, God.
Okay, well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's sickening.
That wasn't happy.
No, well, he's never. I mean, that's why I thought, oh, no, it's our always bummed caller who called. So my plea for any happy stuff yielded.
No, but I do know. I've actually been quietly following that when I'm in Wisconsin because that's, it's in the news a lot. And this was several months ago. I knew there had been a law passed that allowed farmers to take out the wolves that were, attacking their livestock and stuff like that. I mean, that's the complaint.
But to trap them.
As a person that lives in coyote land, I have to admit that if I'd had a rifle, my trigger finger might have itched when I kept seeing beloved pets being disappeared. But there was a huge protest by, and I'm not sure what tribe it is there in the north, but they were claiming that you can't do this, certainly not on Indian land, certainly, and blah, 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 and anybody got caught on Indian land. So there was this whole thing when it went to the Supreme Court, I believe, there, and I guess it was not resolved in the Indians' favor.
Too bad. Oh, God. Things aren't good for the wolves either. Well, I don't know. It's okay. We're getting depressed! No! Okay, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take a break. And the sun has come out. And we're going to talk about something else. That was not, wolves and traps. Oh, caller. When we come back, we will talk about the effort to free the chimpanzees. How about that?
I don't know. That sounds depressing too.
But at least it's different. It's an effort to help an animal, and not kill it. Anyway, it's a big story today. Did you see it anywhere?
No.
It is. You get your lawyer hat on because it has to do with habeas corpus. We shall return.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to the all-new BergBargains.com for the best deals on holiday gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. Log on now for great deals from Ibiza, Atria's, Verde, Crazy Mocha, and City Theater. The all-new BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
Dr. John Watson here. My friend Sherlock Holmes and I would like to invite you to Pict Theatre for The Crucifer of Blood, one of our most thrilling mysteries that features a treasure chest of jewels and a deadly curse. The Charity Randall Theatre in Oakland, December 4th through 21st. Tickets at 412-561-6000 or picttheatre.org. There's no place like Holmes for the holidays.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay. Susan, did you see this? Before we get to the chimpanzees, this is, and it's not, it's just, it's so horrific, it's funny. Maybe. A McDonald's website for employees, it's called McResource.
Oh, okay. Well, more of these awful tips to survive on...
Listen to this. How McResource, the site for employees of McDonald's, suggested that they return unwanted gifts and sell some of their possessions to bring in some quick cash during the holiday season. And also, they said, complaining increases stress. So stop complaining.
Oh,
God! I mean, God. Okay, so... Okay. I think that's it. Chimpanzees. So, Susan, there's an organization. You've heard of Human Rights Project. This is called the Non-Human Rights Project. And it's run by a guy who this is his life's work, Stephen Wise. He is an expert on habeas corpus, which translates to free the body, I think. Mm-hmm. And habeas corpus, which is like isn't that like the Magna Carta thing? It goes back to like forever ago.
It's the basic right not to be detained without cause.
That's right. And it was successfully used in arguments that helped to free slaves. And he feels, can be successfully used in an effort to help chimpanzees. And actually, Lawrence Tribe, this Harvard Law School professor, said that habeas corpus would be the way to go with that. A good place to begin.
Right.
So, for one thing, this group has set up a trust for 4 chimpanzees in New York State. And they say once you have a trust, you are already legal persons under New York law. Does that make sense?
Hey, if a corporation is a person...
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. If a corporation is a person, then why isn't a chimpanzee? For the law, as
for certain protections, absolutely.
And they have filed a writ of habeas corpus with the New York Supreme Court, and they're asking for essentially freedom for 4 specific chimpanzees, and they are serious about it. Now, I've got to tell you that this is not so off the wall. Spain, the Spanish Parliament, 5 years ago, granted chimpanzees certain legal rights. Because it is known, and scientists will tell you, that chimpanzees have an obvious awareness of self, that they have an understanding of past and future, and that is close enough to what we think of as human that they should be offered the same status as a legal person in regard to their...
Okay, but on the other side of the coin, you understand who they're trying to sue, to who they are trying to free this chimp from is someone who has spent his time rescuing chimps from abusive homes, and that this chimp is actually his favorite. Lives in an outside shelter, but it's open to the outside. It's heated to 70 degrees. It's got electricity. It has a TV. So
that's one of the chimps. The fact is some of these chimps are in research facilities.
Yes, but but the one that is the subject of the
You're
lawsuit.
thinking of Tommy the chimp.
I'm talking of Tommy.
And
right.
Tommy is held in a large caged area where this guy who owns a trailer lot or something, he's there on the trailer lot, and he would tell you that he rescued that chimp who spent his first 30 years in holy hell in captivity.
Right.
But what the Non-Human Rights Project argues is that that's still not good enough. He needs to be in a sanctuary with his own.
That would be nice, but I don't think these things are all that easy. And if a chimp has been held in solitary and not interacted with other chimps for the last 40 years of his life, how successful and easy and non-traumatic do you think it is to suddenly put that chimp with other chimps?
I don't know.
Well,
here's the other thing. The United
these things are rarely as one-sided as they look, and I'm not arguing against treating chimps appropriately. I'm just saying that, sometimes the optimum answer isn't the obvious answer.
Okay. However, I just want to say that there have been, according to the New York Times article, enormous changes occurring worldwide in how chimps are viewed and treated. And get this, only the United States and one African nation still allow biomedical experiments on chimpanzees. As usual, we are not on the right side. Every other nation in the world, except us and Gabon, or I think that's how it's pronounced. So go figure. Anyway.
And I think that's changing pretty rapidly here, not because the laws allow it, but because the universities where most of it happens, are just voluntarily stopping because it's getting too difficult.
Yeah.
Cultural shifts are important, and and I'm just, it just seems to me that it's better directed in some of these cases for these animals that have lived a whole life unnaturally. That it's better to focus on the next generation, and where the young can be taught how to live more naturally.
It reminds me of this experience I had when the Pittsburgh Zoo finally was ready to release its giraffes from the cage area, concrete and cage that they had lived in, and to open the door and let them out into this natural habitat, into a savanna-like place. And I was there with a photographer in tow to record this wonderful moment. And they opened the gate, and the giraffes wouldn't move. They were terrified of going out into that expanse because for them it was alien. And they wouldn't move. They wouldn't move.
No, you have to. Well, it's a huge re-education process, and otherwise it's like taking, a woman who has had her feet bound her whole life and unwrapping her feet and saying, "Go walk."
Yeah. So, but I have to tell you, what happened at some point is that the photographer, somebody, I'm thinking it was a photographer, went back to our car, which is parked right sort of behind the cage, and he got something out of the trunk, and then he slammed the trunk. And when the trunk slammed,
it startled them and they ran.
They startled and ran out. And, for a while they were picking up their feet because they could not believe the way it felt underneath. It was ground and grass. And very quickly, they were some happy giraffes. But yeah, I mean, going from what you have always known, even if it is not a natural habitat, it's
to
tough.
A strange land and a strange way of life.
Right.
Is in its own way traumatic.
You know what else I learned that day, and maybe you already know? Giraffes have big, long, black tongues.
Yeah.
Big, long, black tongues. Sort of shocked me. Laura writes from Michigan. I'm enjoying the show. Jess's laugh is a happy thing. Not the happy thing I'm sure you wanted listeners to write in about, but nonetheless a happy thing. And Laura goes on to say that the news in Michigan is not happy either.
No, that would be Detroit's bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah, that's coming out today. Poor Detroit. God. Okay, so we did our chimp thing. That's not going anywhere. Susan, do you know the national motto? Do you even know we have a national motto?
In God we trust?
That's a good guess. It is. In God we trust.
Cool.
See.
Sometimes I surprise even myself.
Well, you're one of those people who was a good guesser and did good on tests, right?
I guess.
Anyway, yes, in God we trust. It's the national motto. And never mind that we never had a national motto until 1956.
And never mind church and state stuff.
Well, national motto, see, it's funny. It's the same time they changed the Pledge of Allegiance. It's
right.
during the
as
McCarthy era.
As you point out, in the 50s, in the McCarthy era.
Right.
And the last wave of Christians will rule.
Right. But, I mean, the fact is, In God We Trust did appear on a coin in 1864. And In God We Trust is around. And 2 years ago, the Supreme Court refused to hear an appeal about getting In God We Trust off our currency now. So it's in. But in the great state of Pennsylvania, in which I live, one of the state reps from around here thinks of all the things troubling Pennsylvania. The thing that he is focusing on is the absence of In God We Trust in all public school buildings. And so he's already gotten this thing out of the Education Committee, and his bill would put the national motto, In God We Trust, displayed prominently in public schools. Now, what drives me crazy is that this is, how about these are the same jerks who don't fund the public schools?
Right. And even that little mandate costs lots of money.
Yeah. I mean, but this will be interesting.
And it's going to be litigated to boot.
Oh, I can tell you the ACLU will be after it in a heartbeat. The fact is, the latest polls show that 20% of Americans are unaffiliated with any religion. Probably a pretty good hunk of that percentage are atheists or agnostics. And as Barry Lynn, who is the head of the Americans for Separation of Church and State, or I think is the name of the organization, he says, look, when you look at the division in other parts of the world over religion, you realize how wise it was that our founders decided that in America, the government would not pick favorites, right? But you could argue that In God We Trust is obviously not picking a favorite. It is picking
a direction, however.
Right. And I think the courts have already said, so if you want to be sworn, if you have to be sworn in, you're a witness, you don't have to swear on, if you don't believe in, if you don't want to swear on a Bible, a Quran, a this or that, you can just affirm, right?
Right.
Affirm that you will tell the truth.
Right.
So it drives me crazy how so many legislators, and this is back to what Brooks was saying,
impose their views. It's just constant.
They really do believe, though, that if you put these things like God inscribed on a wall in a school, that somehow everything will be okay. That we'll be heading back to the way things used to be in their airbrushed sense of American history. It's nuts! Anyway, so stay tuned, because that's going to be something that's going to end up getting some of our attention here. All right, time for yet another break. And I want to thank Laura especially for coming through with some news. And somebody else has sent me...
Jess's laugh.
Oh, and somebody else for good news has sent me an article about televangelist Paul Crouch dying. Under happy news. Well, it says televangelist grifter Paul Crouch dead at 79. And that's the good news. We'll be back.
More with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Just in time for the holidays, Little's Shoes is your UGG headquarters. Little's has the largest selection of UGGs for men, women, and children to stay warm with shearling-lined boots, shoes, and slippers. Don't forget to get your hats, gloves, scarves, and more. Bring the entire family to view one of the largest in-store UGG shops in the U.S. All available at Little's Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store. Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill or littleshoes.com. Download the CP Haps app to find out what's happening in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now. Available on the App Store and Google Play. Brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Oh! You are round MVP.
Yeah, man. Yo, Drew, I finally got round MVP. Round MVP.
No way. That was some ownage.
Finally earning round MVP takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Visit knowhowtogo.org to learn what you should be doing right now to prepare for college. Start taking the steps at knowhowtogo.org. Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
So, Susan, I was just talking to Jess about, I have been on a Breaking Bad marathon viewing.
Oh, yeah?
Because I missed it. I mean, I never...
yeah, well, I watched pieces, but I have not watched the whole thing.
Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been watching 4 and 5 things a day. I can't stop. And it's weird because it is about addicts. I feel like I'm addicted to it. It is really well done. I understand now what that was all about. Everybody freaking out about it. God, really well done. I was trying to bring this thing up about Paul Crouch. I don't have a sense of him. But I know the name.
I mean, of all the televangelists that I'm aware of, he was not on my. radar screen.
Well, but he was the founder of one of the networks. TBN, what does that stand for?
I don't know.
Something Broadcasting Network or something.
CBN. Is it CBN?
This says
Christian Broadcasting Network.
Well, that's not what it says here, but let me see. Paul Crouch. Oh my God, I'm looking at a picture of one of his 13 mansions. Oh my God. That thing looks, Jesus, like what? Trinity Broadcasting. It is TBN. Yeah, he's a grifter. And a very successful one. Isn't that something? He flaunted his wealth.
Well, because God was rewarding him.
Yes, showing it proof of God's favor. He was known for spewing a lot of anti-gay bigotry, but he palled around with third world dictators and South Africa's apartheid thugs so he could put up television station and use his prosperity gospel to fleece the world's most desperate people.
Oh, guess where he was born?
Oh, no, in Green Bay?
No, St. Joseph Mo. He's a good old Missouri
he's a
guy.
Missourian. Yeah. Jeez. You cannot imagine this house that I'm looking at. It's a aerial view. I've seen huge houses before. This is ridiculous. Excuse me. One of 13. He spent $100,000 on a mobile home for his wife's dogs. If he weren't dead, I'd like to kill him. Jeez. Man. You know what's amazing, though, is how many... Think of what that means, of how many people...
who could ill afford it. We're sending their money to him. Like you would give it to a fortune teller and she'd make it multiply. You know, that sort of nonsense.
But how many... I mean, for him to have 13 mansions, the private jets, all of this stuff, think of how many little... $5 and $10. Think of how many people. You would have to be about the worst of the worst, right? To steal from the poor that way.
Well, that's what they are.
Unbelievable. Okay, so yesterday I was talking about, again, my thing about robots taking over it had to do with that... Amazon drones. Did you see that, Suze?
Yes.
They're going to deliver directly to your door with...
I'm still trying to figure out how that happens. Who rings the doorbell?
Well, maybe it has a little beep, 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 beep. Drops it.
I mean, and doesn't it just drop it? What if it's breakable?
No. It makes a safe little landing. It comes down like a moon lander, and it releases its package, and then takes off. That's what it does. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Lynn.
Good morning.
Ed, Susan.
Good morning.
George from Moon.
You're getting off topic now. We have to get back on the good news stuff.
I thought we were off topic for the entire hour. What good news? What good news have you found?
You probably don't remember, but I bring up the space program every now and then.
Yes, you do.
Here's the good news. About 3 weeks ago, NASA certified that approximately 1,300 Earth-like planets exist out in the solar system in the sweet spot where perhaps human habitable life could live.
Exactly.
So we have a chance.
Yeah,
we have a chance. The human race has a chance.
To be rescued?
To move off this rock
that we
and
destroyed?
Still survive beyond our current dilemma.
You know, I heard that.
Is that good news?
Yeah, but I'm more interested in, so there's a much better shot if there's these other planets that look like they're in solar systems like ours, right? They got a sun and they've got... And then conducive to, you know, the creation of life. Wouldn't it be remarkable to see how life evolved on another Earth-like planet?
Yeah. Well, that's part
because it's not going to yield. I mean, you would agree, if you have the potential for life on all these planets, the evolution that occurs will not be the same on each one. So, I mean, exactly. So, what
different
would
chemistry, atmosphere, no atmosphere, methane, all kinds.
So, what
the
would
mix
it
is quite
be?
different from our experience.
Yeah.
So we're in for a challenge, whatever we find.
But
at least we got a chance beyond this.
Yeah, but how far out are these things? I mean, it would take forever to get to one, right?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, but some of them are closer in. They're finding them out all the time. They have this European-American satellite thing called Kepler that has been searching for about 8 years, and it goes on. So so we do have prospects for humankind in the future. We may not experience it, but our progeny may.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's most appreciated. And here, I've got some more good news coming in on email. Lynn and Susan. I attended a meeting of people trying to help control the cat population in our area, and a woman who is a professor of ethics reported that NGO cat people, non-governmental office, right? That NGO cat people make a greater impact in the world than the Gates Foundation. What? So all the
I don't understand.
We don't understand, Barbara. So all the crazy cat ladies and some men too can take heart that they do in fact make a positive impact, even though often not appreciated. She's saying that people who save cats make a greater impact in the world than the Gates Foundation.
I don't know.
We're all very we love your effort at this good news, but that doesn't make sense to us. So we need more information. And Ron in Georgia has sent me a lot more on the horrific Reverend. Yes, Mr. Crouch. You know, that's almost a Dickensian name, isn't it?
It is.
Reverend Crouch.
Maybe he just spontaneously combusted, like, what's his name?
Oh, my God.
Remember the guy that just ended up being green goo on the wall?
In Dickens?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, somebody spontaneously combusted. I can't remember who it was.
Well, I'll be danged if I know. But anyway, in the science section of the New York Times today, I was talking about the robots and stuff, and this is again not good news, but they say they've got this new somebody in there calls him R2D2's evil twin. What it is somebody has come up with a security mobile robot that they think is going to do away with, you know, all those poor people that you see that work as security guards. You know, that's now one of the things that people who don't have a lot of, you know, you see.
They can do.
I ride the bus with a lot of people dressed in security guard stuff. And
that's what a lot of ex-police officers do, you know.
If they're making any money at all, they're making no more than like $12,000 a year. That's, I mean, they're making nothing. But one of these little this thing does look like R2D2. One of these little robots is going to cost a business about $6 an hour, which of course undercuts the minimum wage and means that another 1.3 million people who work at these jobs will, because it makes fiscal sense, will be thrown out of work so that these little R2D2s can be all over. And
but wait a minute, isn't it a whole lot easier for a would-be felon to take out a little robot? I mean, you could just blast the thing away and be on your way.
Well,
and you wouldn't even feel bad about it.
Well, it does say here, for the moment, the system is not armed. So you could have these little beasts going zzz all over, and if they don't like the cut of your jib, they'll blow you away. I don't know. They also say that they have cameras, and they'll be in public places, and they will be patrolling schools and communities, and
further eroding our privacy rights.
And it says the all-seeing mobile robots will eventually be wirelessly connected to a centralized data server, and that it will make it possible to recognize faces, license plates, and other suspicious anomalies. And yeah, this is the kind of pervasive surveillance that has put a lot of people on edge, to say the least. But okay, so it's going to take jobs away, low-paying jobs from people who are just struggling to make it, and it's going to increase the constant surveillance we are under. And you're right. I guess we could, walk up to one at this point and kick it, tip it over. But there'll be another robot that will probably...
It's like the nightmares I used to have when I was a kid, that the robots have taken over.
Yeah, well, they are. They are. Okay, so the head of
that wasn't good news either.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. But it was news. Coming soon to stores near you, these little jerky, evil robots. Oh, what a world. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to book passage to one of these other planets. Do you think?
I think so.
Would you ever have the nerve to get on a rocket?
No.
Me either. First of all, I know I get airsick. I would be puking the whole way, and I just can't. And the puke would be floating around in the air. Oh my God, it would be so horrific. And on that lovely image, Susan, I shall bid thee a fond farewell.
Here's to floating puke.
Floating puke. Yes, weightless puke. An image to take with you for the rest of the day. Thanks, Suze.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. And have to inform the rest of you that tomorrow, Tom Sokolowski's going to join us, since he can't on his usual day of Thursday. And Jess is taking the day off. So the gorgeous Carlo will be here in her... in her stead. Some serious eye candy, let me tell you. Don't
Get
tell.
him on camera tomorrow.
No, he'll be embarrassed.
Aww.
He's so cute. Come on, old ladies can dream, can't they? All right, have a great day. Tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.